again, looking at China and the larger picture of countries that border China, and Bhutan has been in the news a lot. In India, at least, the king visited here. Issues on the boundary, which concerns that have been expressed, possibly not officially, but in the Indian media, about whether there's any change in policy with Bhutan. But your assessment of how China deals with issues like this, these boundary questions on its border?
I think it's clear to me that China, particularly under Xi Jinping, is now an expansionist state, and whether it's through literally expanding their borders, and as they've been trying to do on India's own borders, or whether it's through increasing their influence, infiltration, coercion in neighbouring countries and beyond neighbouring countries, it's clear that their agenda is to dominate. And we see that in these issues relating to Bhutan. We've seen it clearly over recent years in Nepal, and then across Southeast Asia. I think, as I talk about in my book, China now has extraordinary influence in Myanmar. It's really probably the regime that is keeping the military regime in Myanmar alive economically, with arms, and diplomatically. And that's because of its own interests. The same in Cambodia and across Southeast Asia. So wherever it is, it's clear that China is an expansionist state.
You were talking about India's borders, and we are very familiar with what's happening. I mean, lives have been lost. I think the only clash in that terms with the Chinese is the Indians who've been facing them. Galwan is one issue which is still being dealt with, that is Ladakh. But we've also just come back from Arunachal Pradesh and traveled all the way to the LAC and saw a lot of stuff there, including the area where the latest skirmish happened in December last year in Yangtze. And it's ironic again, like when you're pointing about the issue about Tibet, here again, the holy waterfalls are considered extremely religious significance for the Tibetans and Buddhism. And the Chinese are trying to use that to bolster their claim on Arunachal Pradesh as what they call South Tibet.
Yes, I mean, I think it is very ironic. The Chinese regime will repress religion most of the time, but it will try to weaponize religion when it suits it. And I think the threats to India is something that not only India itself, but the rest of the world should take very seriously. Xi Jinping seems to be, and over the last few years, seems to have been picking fights with everybody. And I think the places really for the world to pay close attention to are the India border, of course Taiwan and the South China Sea. And if China is allowed to gain any ground in any of those areas, that will be a major concern for the international community.